So thanks for making time to talk about this. I think it's so important when you create something like you did, which is a beautiful evidence of a lot of hard work, that you get a chance to kind of tell the story about how it was kind of thought of and how you went about making it. So maybe you could first start by introducing yourself and tell us, your first name and a little bit about you and your family.
So my name is Leher Goenka. I'm in 10th grade. I live in Mumbai, and my brother has autism and apraxia, and he was diagnosed when I was about 6 years old and when he was 2 years old.
And how old is your brother now?
He is 11.
Oh man, time flies, right? I'm thinking the same with my own kids. It's like, how do you go from being 2 to being 11? So I've taken a very thorough look at your guide, and it's incredible. I really think you spent a lot of time and energy on it. I wonder, why did you decide to make this project in the first place?
So when I moved to India, because I was living abroad before where we were using AAC at a regular basis, but when I moved to India, I found out that many of my brother's therapists, they didn't have that much experience with AAC, which was very surprising for us because normally I had met people who had such great experience with it. So I wanted to make this guide to help them and parents learn more about AAC so they could implement it for their own children. And yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like your brother was a big part of the reason why you chose to make it. And then also just in the area that you're in, it seems like there's not a lot of information available to the people that are trying to help your brother and other families. Yeah. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about the process. Kind of how did you come up with the idea? What did you do as you were researching all of that stuff that went into making this guide?
So I came up with the idea January 2021, so very early on. But I knew I wanted to do something related to autism and my experience with my brother, but I hadn't really decided on AAC. When I was researching it, it was kind of a mess because I was researching about autism and AAC, and I did so many courses. I did a course with the University of Bath on how to teach autistic children. I did a course with the UC Davis Mind Institute about autism and the elements of it and how to diagnose it and stuff. And I did the history of autism and everything. And I used very little of the information I researched in the book because I wanted to make it concise and easily understandable and just focus specifically on AAC.
Yeah, and I know you have a huge resource list in the back of your guide, and I wonder if many of the classes that you took are listed in that resource in case anybody wants to take them. Yeah. How long did it take you to make it?
It took me it was a continuous process. I would always think that okay, this is done, but then I would add a page. I'd be like, oh yeah, that would be a good idea. So it took me I think about 2 months to create the final product. And I think I added something yesterday, so it's still not.
And if I'm understanding this correctly, this not only was a personal project for you because of your history and your brother, but also a project for school, right? So what was the nature of the assignment that led to you creating this?
So in school also, it's called a personal project. It's by IB, and they just encourage you to follow your passions and create a whole timeline of a project you want to do and a success criteria of what you want to accomplish by that time and everything. So it really gave me a good platform and a schedule to finish my project.
Yeah. So do you believe you reached your success criteria for this project?
There's still some things I'm working towards, distributing it more and getting more feedback from parents and stuff. But more or less, my criteria was to have it approved, which you gratefully did, and have it have tips on. I have a page just full of tips, just so that they can easily print it off and have resources in the back of the book where they can go if they want to learn more about AAC. So yeah, the other elements I have achieved.
Yeah, so most of the criteria you're there, and then now we need to get it out and on the website and distribute it to the families and the professionals that can benefit from it. I'm going to take a minute to ask your mom to chime in. just to give her a chance to tell her point of view, can you introduce yourself for us and tell me a little bit about like your role in this idea and this project?
Yeah, so my name is Tripti. So I was into software engineering before my son was born, and after his diagnosis in 2012, I like we were abroad, and I was taking him therapies to therapies. And being an autistic, the main thing is that he was not getting speech, and I was very frustrated. And more than me, he was very frustrated, and I could feel. I mean, I was taking him to therapies, even the speech therapies and all. And by that time, I had got a little idea about AACA, and but I was but I was not knowing it completely, and I had downloaded the app, but still I didn't know how to figure it out and everyone. And I was getting a mixed opinion from all the team of therapists, where they were saying that if you introduce it too early, then probably you'll not have the chance for him to speak out and all. So I was like always into the mixed feeling. So then there was a point where it comes and where I started feeling that he's too much frustrated to wait for the speech. I thought that I mean, this it would be a crime to let him cry, and I mean, I was feeling so desperate to understand him, and that's the time I started learning myself what is in the AAC, and I got myself certified from Prologo to Go site. Now the certification is not longer available, and I so that's the time. And my role into her is that when we started AAC, when my son started AAC, it took him a learning curve for both of us, even for him and for me also, to figure out how to configure the whole app. And I mean, I took your trainings, and it was immensely helpful for me to understand how we can see and how to find those particular buttons. And then one day she was saying that I wanted to do something on the personal project, and it should be like my passion, and I want to do some autism. And by the time she had also realized that we are the only one family who carry this iPad with us in all the malls and everywhere. So she felt that this is the right thing, because this not many people know, and it will give the huge awareness to people if she start up something like that.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the things I'm hearing you describe, Tripti, is that you just felt so confused by where to start, and also by all of the different conflicting information that you were getting from different professionals who had your son's best interest in mind. And one of the things I really love about this guide, Lahar, is that you did such a nice job of remaining very neutral in your language. I think it's really important for parents to get information that isn't influenced by someone else's opinions of a product or the practice that they work at as a service. So I really love that this guide just gives information from a lot of different perspectives, and it's very simple to follow, which I believe is what you were going for. So I have another question then. Tell me a little bit more. What are like two things that you learned personally making this project? And I know you probably learned much, much more, but what are the two main things you took away from it?
So like making the project was really humbling, because I had assumed that I knew like a lot about AAC before with my experiences, but I realized it's such a big field and there's so much I didn't know about AAC while making the guide. I also like it was a real effort trying to be like concise and simple. So like I had to like always work on my language and make sure that I specify that this might not work for you. So this is like a very specific type of AAC. And like I had to think about the consumer and the end person who is going to be reading my product.
Yeah, you're right. I find in my own work that that is the hardest part. How am I going to make this information that I understand in a certain way very understandable to someone else who doesn't have the same background or experiences as I do? And I think you've done a really wonderful job in trying to achieve that. I also wonder, thinking about that consumer that you talk about, what is it that you hope the person on the other side of this guide will gain from using your project in their lives?
I hope they can get an understanding of AAC, and I hope they can find ways to implement it in their own lives. And I hope it doesn't like overwhelm them, but it just helps guide them through the process. And just I hope that they get a better understanding.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Trippi, from a parent's perspective? If you think back when you were first starting, What is it about this particular guide that you think will help parents just like you that pick it up and try to use it?
Yeah, so as a parent, I think all of the parents must be are very desperate to help their child, and they may have heard of AAC, but we do not know what AAC actually is. But I mean, if I would had the access of this AAC guide, then probably it would have been easier for me to understand like what kind of AAC, how the different varieties of AAC are available, and which one could I start with. So when I started with AAC, I thought just Pallogi to go is an app which is called AAC. By that time, I did not have the knowledge that even PAX is an AAC, even the sign language in AAC, because in my mind it was like a app which means an AAC. So that type of confusion I had, and I never knew that they do also have a prompt hierarchy. This is the way. So what so there's a lot of things which I learned through different website, and I have wasted a lot of time where I had assumed something like as we buy some app and we learn how to play and figure it out, and it would definitely. So that is a kind of misconception I had once before I had installed that AAC app. But this guide will probably help people to understand. Can see the screenshot, and I mean they can understand and they can get a little glimpse like what they are going for.
Yeah, I agree. As I'm looking through it and trying to put my perspective into that of a parent or a professional who's kind of overwhelmed, I think sometimes you need just a little bit of information about a broader topic. And I love that you have done that in this guide. My last question, and then I hope that you'll elaborate a little bit more, is if you were continuing to develop this, so if you had another 2 months to iterate on it, which I'm sure you would, what would you add to this product? What might you change?
I would like mostly listen to the people who are using it and maybe use their feedback. And like if they think that this part is too complicated or this part is too like I didn't really understand, it's too confusing, then I would like change those aspects depending on their feedback. And I would also like I have this feeling like I should make it more concise, just like make it a smaller thing so to make it more accessible and more useful for people. So I think I would like mostly put my effort towards that.
Yeah, so we're going to post your guide with an article from you kind of describing the process and journey that you went through in making it. Hopefully some who are listening or watching can download it and start using it with their families or using it themselves as families. And I wonder what's the best way for the community to give you feedback so that you can make those iterations that you're hoping for.
I think on the second page of the guide, I have linked a form where they can fill it up and give me some feedback, and it would be really appreciated.
Wonderful. And this is a free resource, and it will remain free to everybody who wants to download it. Is it okay for them to distribute it elsewhere? What are the permissions that you offer for your project?
Yeah, I want them to distribute it. I want it to be like everywhere, and people to be able to use it. I don't want to charge them for anything.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to add and share about this journey that you've taken with this project or your experiences in general?
I would just like to thank you for all your help during the project and your mentoring, because your advice really helped me in the creation of this product, and your feedback was really insightful, and there was a lot of stuff that I missed which I couldn't have done without your help.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been a really, you've been so patient too with my busy schedule and my lack of prompt responses. So I thank you for your patience, and I was really very honored to be a part of this learning with you. And I'm excited and proud to put it up on the website and share it with families who could benefit from it. And I can't remember if we were talking about somehow making it available in other languages. Was I talking about that with you or someone else?
I don't think so with me.
Probably, yeah. There's a couple projects floating around on my plate, but for right now, it's available in English. And I guess those downloading it, if they would like to see it in other languages, can fill out your form and let you know, and we can see if we can make that happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for sharing your time with me, your story, and this beautiful guide that you created. I hope everyone who downloads it will find it as useful as I think they will. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to explore more resources like this one, visit our website, www.accessible.org. You'll also find lots of online trainings on our learning platform, www.theaacacademy.org.